Good morning. It's early morning, so it's a little dark, but I wanted to show you guys the pool. Several people have asked about the pool in the yard. One of my favorite people who crochets with me lives over here and was looking down, down at the pool all the time, and she says that it doesn't always look that great. So, part of the problem is the way that the water runs. Now, it hasn't rained that much in a while, so this is just, springtime leaves coming down and has to be constantly maintained. There's really not that much we could do about that. But the water itself is still cloudy. And I wanted to show you guys kind of where that issue comes from. So here is basically a staircase to nowhere. And here is all of this side yard, which should be beautiful and covered with greenery and ground cover. But there's a lot of it that is exposed dirt that we need to deal with, right? But before we can deal with that, we really need to deal with this top part up here, all of this. And then, there's a great retaining wall here and a great retaining wall on this side. But up at the top of the stairs, it doesn't really have any protection for us. See, there's no stop to this sidewalk that also leads to nowhere. So a lot of this stuff, rainwater will come down this way, comes down here, rainwater will come down here, and so it works its way into the pool. There are a few drains down here, but we don't believe that they're big enough, plus they constantly get covered with leaves. So we've got to work on the drainage and the way the water flows up here, because you can truly see that from up here all we have is dirt and it just runs, right? We have to keep it from running this way, which is what's been happening. So because we had an arborist come out and take a look at the yard and look at the way things function, I believe there's got to be a way for us to create a drain that moves things through here. Hopefully not a very highly expensive French drain, but we'll have to see. Of course, there's a plane overhead. But if we can get the water to stop going this way towards the pool and go this way, that would make a huge difference, because this is the area that we want to get wet. Plus there are some drains somewhere in the yard to help keep from having, standing water in the yard. So we really have to address how we deal with all of this water so that ultimately the part of the yard that we love and what we look at and what we enjoy, which is all of this section, really looks good. Because we're really not getting the most out of our yard. Now, several years ago, we had a bit of a fungus, and that fungus killed all of the grass that kind of runs closer to, sorry, I know I'm kind of pointing you guys towards lights, but so all of this dirt that we're seeing here, all of you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is the beautiful part of the garden that we all love and want to see, right? And we've put all of these lights out here years ago to shine up on the trees and shine down and give us some attractive landscape, so we could see it. It adds depth and dimension to the trees. But what we're left with here is what perhaps needs to be more ground cover. Perhaps we need to look at a different type of a grass. So, we had all these beautiful plantings put in here, so that's nice, but we have to deal with what's happening all in through this area. So when I look at the specifics of what's happening with the pool, right, the pool doesn't look great a lot of the time. And then we have to have the pool people come out, treat it, make sure it's clean, make sure it's safe, make sure we're not creating algae and things like that. So that is quite an undertaking when we constantly have rain in the spring that's constantly making it dirty. So we're going to look at what's the arborist recommendation for drainage, and then see what that cost is in comparison to having the pool cleaned so many times a year. And hopefully that will offset. So if we spend a little money on drainage, then we can start doing maybe some planting, some ground cover, a little bit more grass in some of these areas, and then maybe have some areas that are mulch for a while until we have a little bit more money to create a stronger, softer presence. So I do appreciate everybody's patience while we deal with the pool. It's a little bit windy this morning. If you can see by the dog park, there's going to be a lot of concrete work here. So this is taped off today. But we took out all of these railroad ties that had some gray river rock and some white stones, and then it had these, if you remember, these fence posts that were here. They were kind of getting rotten. I'm being generous there. So all of those fence posts were taken out. There'll be a border put back in, but we needed to clear a space so that when this concrete is poured and this is all fixed and redone in the next several weeks, they can put proper forms here. So there is a lot going on in the yard, but some of it is just going to take a little time because we have to make sure that we deal with the water, right? Everything we deal with is water, water, water. So I just wanted to visit, let you guys know that it is something that is on my radar. It is on the board's radar to try to make sure that we can stop constantly having to deal with the dirty pool, right? But there are quite a few steps that have to happen before, and considering the expense that we're paying for the chillers and what we're paying for on the pool, we're paying for on all the different projects that are going on and all the painting and making sure that we get all the baseboards fixed. It's just going to be something that we have to look at budget-wise and make sure that it makes sense and that we can fix the problem first, and then we can start adding plants and grass and some ground cover. So thank you guys. I hope everybody has a great Monday. I'll kind of keep you informed. I do know there was a false alarm on Saturday early in the morning. I don't specifically have any information on that other than it wasn't a fire. If it was a fire, I'm sure I would have a lot more information, but there was some sort of false alarm that was triggered by a sensor. But when I do know more, I'll share that with you guys too. So I hope everybody has a great week.